Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast. My name is Caitlin and with me today are...
Jake.
Chris.
And Ames.
And we're here to talk about episode 228? 227?
Wow.
No, wait, let me do... And we're here to discuss episode 22... No, that's not right either. Let me try again.
Chris is keeping all of this, you know.
And we're here today with episode 227.
Woo!
Oh!
I know. And today we're going to discuss two more episodes of Deep Space Nine, specifically Field of Fire and Chimera. Or Chimera, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, I say Chimera.
Or Chimera. I mean, if you wanted to sound like a douche.
I do.
Chimera.
Chimaru. I was just going to say. Yes. Oh god, if only it was Mary Poppins. No, instead of classic 1960s Disney film Mary Poppins, in Field of Fire, we get 1991-ish film Silence of the Lambs, but if Star Trek did it really fucking badly.
They're just retconning the trill all over the place. It's
it's
very strange.
So bad.
Hello, Ezri.
Quid pro quo, Ezri. I fucking... so, first of all, I hated it. But in Field of Fire, people be getting shot at point-blank range, but from really far away, or at least far enough away that they're leaving no powder burns, because somebody is on the... almost call it the Enterprise. Nope. Somebody's on Deep Space Nine killing people with projectile weapons, which we know were done away with years ago. And more so, they're using a special projectile weapon that was, like, I don't know, funded by your undergraduate fee at Starfleet Academy, but they ultimately decided not to go with it because, I don't know, phasers happened, probably. And Ezri, for some reason, is called upon to figure out who done it, which, you know, makes sense since she's the ship's doesn't make sense.
Why isn't Odo here?
Yeah.
Why don't we call Sherlock Data?
She's going to do
fucking
criminal psychology.
Oh,
but she didn't. But here's the thing: she didn't even like that class. They were like, "Oh yeah, remember you took criminal pathology?" And she's like, "Yeah, but I didn't like it." So it's like, okay, awesome.
There are no other psychologists anywhere in Starfleet anymore.
Not a single one.
Or cops.
But guys, guess what? Luckily, you know who really liked forensic pathology or whatever the shit?
Odo.
Joran.
Oh, yeah.
Joran? Duran. Duran really liked it. You may remember him because he's the one that took over. He was actually the first person that wasn't supposed to have the Dax symbiote that had the Dax symbiote. But of course, he took it by force instead of having it forced upon him. So, you know, totally different. Anyway, lots and lots of scenes wherein he's going, "Come on, Ezri, think like the killer. Look, pull the trigger, Ezri." It's fucking stupid. But ultimately, they figure out that the person what's been doing the murder is a Vulcan who, I mean, must have just massive survivor guilt because he's like the only person out of 1,200 of his crewmates or something to have survived. I don't even know what it was, logical. Like an attack or something. And so every time he sees a picture of someone smiling, he has to kill them, I guess. And the way he's been doing it is he's been shooting through this gun that was, you know, a prototype gun that he whipped out of a replicator. He attached a little teeny tiny transporter at the front of it to launch the bullet wherever he felt like having it go. And yeah, just started shooting people. And thankfully, you know, through the screaming of the lambs, we were able to discover his identity and shoot him in the something, leg or shoulder or some shit, right before he shot Ezri. What? Thankfully, he misses Ezri. Ezri gets her man and this fucking episode ends. That's it. That's the episode.
Yikes.
Didn't like it. Don't know if that came through or not.
I mean, yeah.
It's like, okay, it's like anything where you have to keep, like, belaboring the same point. It's like in the fifth Harry Potter movie where we see evil McCunty pink suit lady make him like
two, so
yeah, well, good call, but this particular one is the worst because it's like not only is it Harry Potter is really like teen angsty, But then you've got literal Hitler in charge of the school, and she basically keeps making Harry Potter write lines, specifically, I will not tell lies, but she does it with a pen that carves the words I will not tell lies into his arm while he writes it. And we see it over and over and over, and it's like, we get it, she's awful, I hate her.
Being fair, she's not literal Hitler. Voldemort is. She's fucking Thatcher. She's got the haircut and everything.
Oh, well, whatever. The point is she sucks.
Yeah.
And the point is we see over and over again, see, we swear she sucks. Look at this thing. And that's how this felt. It felt like every fucking scene was just Duran being like, come on, Ezri, think like a killer. How do we covet, Clarisse? We covet what we see every day. Somebody already made the Fava Beans sound joke.
That's
Never mind.
all right.
Sorry.
Okay, you did it way better than I did, though. So it's
My
okay.
big problem
I've practiced a lot.
Tell us.
is that, like, they go, like, I guess it's a little silly, but the whole, like, oh, the photos, that drove them mad or whatever. But, like, no, it must be a Vulcan.
Yeah.
And, like, that's
type
it.
of logic.
Well, that's the theme
Racist.
of this week, isn't it? Is racism. So
True,
fine.
true.
See, here's the other thing about the Vulcan doing this. So sure, you can say the war is so bad, even Vulcans are affected. Whatever you want. I don't care. You can say, oh, Vulcans don't like emotions, so seeing people laughing would tick him off. Sure, okay. However, he is going and seeking out photos of people laughing because he didn't encounter these photos. He wasn't in those rooms. He's never been in those rooms, probably, because he doesn't... Well, I mean, the first guy was only there for like 10 days. Other people maybe weren't friends with him. So he basically had to put on his little headset, look around, find someone who was happy, and say, that one's happy. Kill it.
Yeah, and it's just, like, even if that had been kind of the thing, like, a Vulcan snapped and decided emotion must be destroyed, okay, that's an interesting angle. It's the fact that they were, like, they leapt to this conclusion with very little evidence, and it ended up being correct.
Yeah, I didn't
it's
like
just
that.
like, that was definitely a result of, we only have 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And we spent 98 of them having Duran whisper in Ezri's ear.
Well, yeah, and I think, that whole conversation was very, I don't know, it was like a Batman 1960s
What's
sort of
another
thing.
word for riddle?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's more like I was just gonna say more like Batman
Edward
Forever. Enigma.
Enigma.
Mr. Enigma.
Mr. E.
Here's the thing. That movie fucking rocks. But
V.
that
Ulkin.
scene
Vulcan.
in particular, yeah. V Ulkin.
E. Motion.
Mr. E Motion. Edward Motion. Charles Entertainment Cheese.
But yeah, the reveal of this is so bad. But the thing is, I also know, like, the writer, so they had to drag in Robert Hewitt Wolf because
Kicking
everyone...
and screaming, I hope.
It sounds a little like it.
Good.
Because it sounds like all the writing team was busy doing other shows that needed to be done ASAP. So it's like, okay, we have an idea. We want a sniper loose on the station. Robert Hewitt Wolf, go for it. And he's like, okay. And he thought it would be just such a surprising reveal if it were a Vulcan. Because who would ever expect a Vulcan? And god fucking damn it, I don't like it.
I mean, again, I don't even mind that it was a Vulcan. It's that they got there with no evidence.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem.
They got there by racial profiling, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Well,
also, wasn't Ezri's episode last week a rush job, too?
Yep.
Jesus, no wonder Ezri keeps, like, they just kept giving, like, whenever it was, oh, fuck, we have no time, let's make an Ezri episode.
Well, this was originally going to be an Odo episode, which makes sense. He's
yeah.
the security officer.
What? You mean it was... I don't know. I don't know if it follows. I'm pretty sure the ship's counselor is the best person to investigate murder.
You know, I actually got super, super pissed. So we have an active fucking crime scene that Ezri just walks into, and everyone's there like, oh, hey, Ezri, check out this corpse. And it's like, what the fuck is she... Why did they let her in when there is a dead body on the fucking floor?
That's because Odo is
not
not a great cop. Like, he's just not good at his job.
What are you talking about? He's really good at brutalizing people.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's funny because in that scene, he's like, oh, I read a lot of Sam Spade novels and shit. And I'm like, yeah, that's where you got your fucking sense of how to be a cop then, because, you have no like sense for chain of custody of evidence or preserving a crime scene or doing any kind of, proper forensics. You're just, I'm going to do Columbo and turn around as I walk out the door.
They get to hand wave all forensics as somebody scanned the room and it's in a tricorder. We can look at it later.
Yeah, basically.
What about the powder burns?
Yeah, so he got this idea, powder burns are a thing, from a novel from like the 1950s, as if the guns are the same.
Well,
what?
I don't know.
Apparently they are.
Well, like,
no one checked though. He just assumed.
Like,
well, look, they knew there was a slug.
Yeah, but there could be a non-chemically propelled bullet. It could have been magnetically propelled. It could have had little warp engines on it. Little nacelles.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
cute little bullet.
I suppose a miniaturized.
I want someone to draw me a fucking bullet with nacelles.
It would have been great though. Like, since they had this whole transporter on the gun thing, it could have just been, we don't know how he got shot. And then Dr. Bashir does a little scan. It's like, no, there's a bullet embedded in his heart, but there's no bullet hole in his chest.
Ooh.
That would have been kind of cool though if there wasn't even an entry wound. That really would have just added to the whole an
icicle fell on him. Ooh.
Well, like, okay. So can we talk quickly about the gun itself?
I like the gun itself.
How OP this fucking gun is. Like, like you could assess if the Federation has this thing, how is Damar still alive? How is anybody? How is Wei-Yun kicking around? Well, he's been killed a few times, but
I was gonna say bad example.
Anybody that like Section 31 wants to take out, all they need is this fucking it's a gun, right? So you can shoot people from far away, whereas like phasers are you have to be fairly close. I think.
Yeah, and have nothing in the way.
And and then it's got a fucking transporter on it, so you can shoot somebody, and you can see through walls. This is cool. This is fucking using wall hacks, okay? Fucking A, man.
Well, what I love too is they're like, apparently it was originally under development for use on worlds where something radiation something phasers don't work, but then they came up with some new kind of phaser. Meanwhile, Picard is like, hey guys, the Borg? They didn't seem able to adapt
That's true. The Borg you can just hit with a batleth.
Yeah, like this seems to be the ultimate Borg killer.
Shot them up with holographic bullets.
That's what I mean. So imagine, like, they didn't adapt to that. I doubt they could adapt to actual bullets. Like, this is the ultimate Borg weapon. And they're just like, fuck it.
I don't know. I have to think that somebody at some point in history who was being invaded by the Borg was like, why don't we just shoot him with a gun?
Yeah, and that planet was never assimilated.
That's right.
And the Borg avoid that part of space like the fucking plague.
You know what sucks? That planet would be like New America 2 or something.
Yeah. Florida. Just a colony of Floridians.
The planet Florida.
They're all descended from Trip Tucker.
Or it's moon Texas. So other way around, actually. Texas is bigger, so maybe the moon is Florida and Texas is the planet. Anyway.
I imagine that the guy that came up with the rifle thought he had invented guns. He's like, oh my god, we've been using phasers this whole time, but look, you can put a big chunk of metal, put some fucking fire making shit behind it, and shoot it down a tube, and it goes really far, and it tears people up. I'm a fucking genius. How did nobody think of this?
I also bet in the future they probably don't. This is why the whole Odo jumping to the conclusion that there should be powder burns is bizarre, because I'm sure in the future they can find other propulsion methods.
Well, it could be. I mean, into the present, right? Because like there's like magnetically propelled projectiles. Like that's a thing.
Yeah, the only thing right now with those is they're huge.
Well, right, but
I'm sure
by the
24th century,
future, you know, or it's just, water. You could do water. His uniform isn't wet.
The bullets are just tiny wharfs screaming ramming speed.
That's right. Yes. How fast was the bullet going, Worf?
See, the other thing, so we brought up, why wasn't Odo involved? Why was Ezri doing all of this on her own and told no one? She's the stupidest Starfleet officer I have ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't know, Kevin Riley.
Because she was friendly with the victim, so she felt a personal need to solve the murder.
And
Personal with him. You mean he hit on her creepily and she shot him down as gently as she could, and he doubled down on being a fucking creep and kind of got what he deserved? Just saying.
Whoa.
I don't know if he deserved to get shot through the
No, I know.
heart,
I don't mean it. I don't mean it.
I mean, but definitely.
But he was being a creep.
He was being creepy.
Everyone's creepy to any of the Daxes.
That's
Yeah.
true. They're used to it at this point.
And including production. as
oh
we
god,
know.
speaking of creepy, there was a line from Duran Duran that implied she's kind of into Quark.
There was.
I missed the line. What was the line?
At one point he says, I don't understand what you see in this Ferengi.
I think just,
Well,
just
he
I think it
probably
was
because
just
meant
like-
because they were
Yeah.
talking and associating, not
they're
necessarily.
friends.
Maybe. I hope that's all. I don't trust this show, is the thing.
They're
So,
friends unless you ask Quark, in which case they're soulmates.
Yeah.
Listen, the
right.
writers of the show would not hook up Ezri and Quark because they need to be more attractive.
Touche.
They need only pretty people to fuck because we don't care about non-pretty people fucking.
I don't know. Quark's pretty enough.
I don't
for
know.
a
Oh, no, I
Ferengi.
love Quark,
Odo
but-
fucks, and he.
Odo's
Hannibal Lecter.
fucking hot, Jake.
Oh
Man,
That's correct.
if only Sexy Beast if only Sexy Beast had gotten the rights to use Ferengi makeup.
Oh, so that awful looking new
Yep.
mask wearing show.
Yep.
That looks fucking terrible.
It really does.
So the other element of this episode that really bothered me was
Out of how many?
well, yeah, but
So
the
many.
thing that really bothered me was Duran being retconned, I guess,
For like the
at-
third or fourth time.
Well, like because when we first met him back in
Like the Equilibrium.
Equilibrium,
Yeah.
Equilibrium, he was a struggling musician who lost his temper and killed somebody in a fit of rage.
I rewatched Equilibrium this morning
Oh,
because I know none of this makes sense. They just rewrite the Duran character whenever they want. They rewrote him for Facets because they wanted Cisco to be really fucking weird, and they rewrote him for this because they really needed a serial killer's point of view. Now, in Equilibrium, he was a struggling musician doing the thing. He wrote a pretty song, and then he went to the not conservatory, the institute, the
The
Symbiont Institute.
Insemination Society.
Yeah, whatever.
The Symbiosis Commission.
Committee.
Yeah, that thing. He goes to that thing to be a host. Because we learned from his brother. His brother's like, yeah, I guess he was going to be a host. That was interesting. I don't know if he ever got to be one, but all right. We know he got to be a host when Tarius died. There was no foul play, as far as we know, in how he got to be the host. So he gets the Dax symbiont, and then we learn, oh, you probably shouldn't have him because he's a killer. And he killed, in this episode, it's 3 people. In Equilibrium, it was just 1 person. Fucking table flip. And we don't even get the sense in Equilibrium that he got any, like, joy or anything out of it.
Yeah,
It looked like he just needed to kill somebody to keep the symbiont.
Well, no, that was what I thought. I thought he was just angry because they were going to take the symbiont away from him. Because I don't know, you watched it more recently than I did, but my thought was that, or as I remembered, it was something like the Symbiosis Commission was like, yeah, this guy's probably not the best host. We'll give it to this guy Curzon instead. So can we have it back? And then he was like, no, I don't want to give it back.
That's the thing. They never really make it clear.
Oh, they
they
didn't
never
make
make it clear what the chain of events was.
No.
We just know, all we know about fucking Duran is that he killed somebody when he had the symbiont. Then he died and the symbiont went to Curzon. We don't even know how he died.
I think, I imagine, I thought the implication, at least, maybe they didn't explicitly say it, but the implication was that he died when they took the symbiont out.
That's a
Because-
possibility, but
because
it's
we
not
kn-
made
Yeah,
explicit.
yeah.
Which,
But
yeah,
anyway,
if
the
they were
point-
talking about just taking the symbiont from him, like, that's a death sentence.
It
You better
is.
have a really good fucking reason to do it.
Because
Yeah,
he
but I
had the
think he was
symbiont
just-
for 6 months at that point.
Yeah, I think he was just, they found out that he was, mentally unstable. But then again, to recast him in this episode as
Literally.
as this like serial killer, Hannibal Lecter character who's a fucking criminal mastermind and, you know, knows how serial killers think.
Yeah, I remember the face of all my victims. All
Like-
3, 1. How many people did you kill?
I mean, they say 3, but yeah, I only remember only the one being brought up before.
Remembering 3 faces isn't very hard.
I don't know. Who are you people again?
Oh, fucking hell.
I mean, I'm sure they had to make it 3 in this episode to make people, I don't know, be like, oh, there's a bad guy. 3 kills. A lot of death. I
Yeah,
guess the other
maybe
thing,
Maybe
too, is
that's
like,
the minimum number of kills you have to be considered a serial killer.
Oh.
I mean, I think you only have to. Is it the minimum? Is there
It
a
might just be
minimum?
2, but I think
I don't
it's
know.
3.
Well, I mean, the
It
thing
has
is-
to be at least, like, I think it's like at least 2 people at different times.
Following for the same
Yeah.
pattern,
Yeah,
right?
it's like a
Yeah.
pattern.
yeah, otherwise
It's
you're
a
just a
pattern.
spree killer.
Yeah,
Like,
Or-
there has to be
or
an
just,
element
like,
of,
a
like...
dick.
or a sweet tart
I mean-
killer.
But yeah, there has to be, like, an element
Ooh,
of
delicious.
ritual or pattern or something. Otherwise, you're just a maniac.
But man, like, I guess in the 90s, like, you couldn't just go on Netflix and rewatch previous episodes.
Yeah.
You know, if you maybe had a VHS of it that you could go watch, or you might catch the episode in a rerun. But other than that, there probably wasn't a ton of risk in just completely reconfiguring a minor character like this, because the last time people heard about this character was several years prior at this point.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was 1999. The internet was already. I mean, there were definitely nerds on Usenet
Oh, yeah, I'm
and
sure
I
nerds brought
it up.
shit being
But-
nerds about Star Trek for sure.
Like, the main, like, most of the audience, even then, you had to be a special level of nerd to be hanging out in those boards. Like, nowadays, there would be 98 YouTube videos within 10 minutes going, actually.
Instead, there's just this podcast.
Yep.
Thank God.
Yeah, and also to be fair, I also re-listened to our podcast episode on Equilibrium, and our main thesis coming out of that episode was, that was confusing. What the fuck with the trill?
Yeah.
Well, the
That's-
point
I-
of that episode wasn't that. I mean, yes, there was the point that, oh yeah, there's this hidden host, but it was all like the broader point, which was never really brought up again, is that more people than they've let on are suitable for joining.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of the episodes that have focused on the trill, the end
bad.
result is, wait, what the fuck, the trill?
They rewrite it every fucking episode that they focus on the trill.
I mean, the one thing that seems to really be in common is that
They got spots.
they are the worst.
Oh, yeah. Also that, yeah.
Like,
No,
aside
the
from...
original Trill didn't have spots, Caitlin, so they had
That's
Oh,
true.
that's right. My bad. My
Consistency.
bad.
Well, yeah, we get... Ignoring that, where it's, like, a complete overwrite, not a, like, shared thing. It's...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But, like... Yeah, no, every time we meet the trill, it just seems like they're such assholes.
Yeah,
Like, it seems like the Dax hosts are the fucking exception.
well, except for this guy.
Well,
and
yes.
Curzon. And Varad.
So the other thing that they kind of, I don't know if it was a retcon as much as it was just a new thing that they brought up, is having a hallucination of one of your past hosts is a thing that you can just call up when you need
The
it.
Rite of Emergence. Yay. I mean, we
Which-
saw Dax do it with Duran in the pool, but this was not in the pool. This is just in
Yeah.
quarters.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the last time she did this, it was like this much bigger deal, very
Yeah.
solemn. Her
And here-
friends like had to be possessed.
Yeah,
oh, that one too, yeah.
Yeah, facets. So here's my rewrite of this episode. So first of all, you want to get inside the head of a killer. You got somebody on board the station.
Miles,
Well, yes,
the butcher of wherever the fuck he was.
He loves to mortar. But
Garrett?
no, you go to fucking Garrick.
Oh,
You're like,
yeah.
hey, Garrick, there's some people getting holes in them, and we don't know how it's happening. And he'd be like, oh, they got a rifle with a transporter on it, and it's probably a Vulcan that's doing it. In fact, it's probably that guy right there. In fact, I sold him the rifle.
Episode done. But yes, I think I would have much preferred Garrick as Hannibal Lecter than...
Oh,
This
God,
guy.
that would have been hot as fuck. I mean, Hannibal Lecter is already pretty hot. Garrick is Hannibal Lecter?
whispering into Odo's ear instead of Ezri's.
Here's how you combine it.
Dick and
You do
Bud?
the ritual from Facets,
Oh.
except you download Duran into Garrick.
Ooh, double team.
So then you get Duran's crazy psycho shit, and you get Garrick's crazy psycho shit in one package.
Aw, but then we lose the Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary in front of the mirror.
Oh God. Yeah.
Stupid
that's so
Ezri.
Oh man, you know how else you can make that gun even more overpowered?
Tell me.
Attach a miniature replicator to the clip so you have infinite ammo.
There you go.
Like, we have just made the ultimate Borg killer. And like Jake said, like, assassination tool. And
I don't know. I feel like the ethics of this weapon starts to get a little questionable when you realize, we're not only going to use this for Borg, though. We're going to use this for probably everything. In fact, I've just used it on your bomb.
Yeah, no, I mean, totally. Like, the thing is, Starfleet would be like, this is only for use in this very specific extreme scenario. And then Section 31 laughs its leather jackets off.
Ooh.
And then just goes on a murder spree.
Well, not just Section 31. Every admiral has one
True.
of those things. Considering you can
sections 1 through 30 are on it too.
Like, what's the point of having, it's a prototype weapon, it never went into production.
Yeah.
But literally anybody who's a Starfleet officer, which is basically everybody, including Miles, who's not a Starfleet officer, can download the fucking, 3D printer files and just whip one up lickety-split, including the transporter module and the holographic fucking eyeball thingy.
Oh, speaking of that, Ames, did any of you read mention, was there a reason behind swapping sides between Ezri and Miles?
Swapping sides? Like, what eye was it on?
Yeah.
I
like,
didn't notice, no.
Ezri was a left-handed shot, I noticed.
Oh, that's a good point. That is some continuity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if maybe she's actually a lefty or if they were just like...
The actress is not.
Okay.
Yeah, but when she held the rifle up, she was holding it for a left-handed shot.
So they, just decided it looked better that way for some reason. Because, when Miles comes in with it, it's over his right eye.
I do have some actually very cool Miles-related backstory. Not backstory, but behind-the-scenes stuff.
Ooh.
So to test out what how this thing would work, he rigs up a watermelon. But of course, it has to be a space watermelon, so they paint it purple. And someone says, but when we explode it, it's going to look like a watermelon on the inside. So what do we do? And what they did was they filled it. They cut a little hole and squirted inside the watermelon some green tapioca pudding, so that when they exploded it, it would just look like goo.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna lie. When it blew up, I was expecting, obviously they've just painted an Earth melon a weird color, or maybe it's some obscure melon I've never heard of.
From not the Earth?
Well, no, just some kind of melon you don't easily find in supermarkets.
Just still an Earth melon, though.
Yes, but anyway.
Cucosaurus. We saw some of those once.
Ooh, yum.
So I was expecting melon guts, and when goo came out, I was definitely like, oh, okay.
But still yum. I would eat that.
It sounded like Miles hadn't tested it, because when he came in the room, he was like, oh, it worked!
It sounded like he had tested it once.
It sounded like he was more surprised that he hadn't accidentally shot Ezri, basically. Nobody cares if you shoot Odo because he doesn't mind.
Yeah.
But
he doesn't mind. He might mind. Just because it doesn't kill him doesn't mean it's his favorite thing.
You don't know.
No, I don't. But
you don't know Odo.
What
Kira are up to.
Odo versus Swiss Odo. Just full of holes.
Yeah.
I also love that she was getting rid of Duran. What's
Duran?
Duran.
Duran.
And
then Odo calls.
Yeah, and that undoes it. He's like, Jesus Christ.
I know, and it's there's been another mortar. Oh, I have to go right away. No, finish your fucking summoning spell, idiot. Or I guess de-summoning spell.
I think Odo...
Oh, go ahead.
Odo, because he's going full detective and maybe feels like Ezri's muscling in on his territory, should have, had a little, a fedora in one scene. And every scene he was just a little bit bigger.
What? No.
Till eventually it's just covering his whole head.
God,
no, his head is just a fedora. He just turns his head into a fedora.
With a neck beard.
Yeah. Here's my question. Does Ezri see any consequence for any of this?
Oh god, no.
Okay. She nearly killed a guy in Quarks.
I mean, the only reason, here's the thing, they
With a
couldn't
butter
pursue
knife.
him because, as Jake mentioned, no sense of, oh god, what was the phrase you used? Possession of evidence. There's a proper term for it that you used.
Oh, the chain of
of-
custody?
Chain of custody.
There's no sense of chain of custody because that butter knife that Cisco was waving around was very clearly not the knife Ezri almost stabbed that guy with. Because that knife had a very different handle and actually had a point.
Mm.
Well, speaking of chain of custody, would you say that the watermelon had a solid chain of custody?
Yes.
Oh.
So what I want to know, so that guy, right? Okay, so speaking of, anybody can just download and print the fucking gun.
Oh, this
So
guy
that-
Bertram, right?
That guy just by chance also has one of these rifles, these prototype rifles that nobody has. And
He's a weapons connoisseur, they say.
yeah, he's a weapons connoisseur. That's
Seems like a healthy type of person to have in
I was
Starfleet.
gonna say.
He likes taking his photo in front
he
of
also
captain's
collects
desks.
Nazi memorabilia. Yeah.
Is this the guy that collected Cardassian
No, he's dead.
trinkets?
No, he's
Yeah,
super
that guy.
dead.
I bet he took that guy's trinkets after he died, though.
Mm.
But that guy was running from the cops for reasons too, right?
Well, because they were like, hey, why'd you download this gun? And he ran for some reason. Even though apparently it's perfectly okay that he does.
Right.
So that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, or
You know what
maybe
else
it's
doesn't
not
make
okay. Maybe you can get a slap on the wrist for it.
Yeah, maybe you're not supposed to do it even though you have clearance.
Well, even so, it's just they really probably just wanted to take him in for questioning because of the timing of the thing.
Yeah,
Maybe
Like,
he just
oh.
owes Quark a lot of money, and he was afraid that he'd get called on it.
maybe.
Also,
The timing actually does sort of make sense if you assume in universe, maybe he's never heard of this gun. And then this happens. The story clearly gets around the station, and he's like, I want one of those!
that would look awesome on my wall next to my 300 other guns.
I mean, the thing
that
is,
are for collecting purposes.
We make fun of this guy for owning guns, but remember, in his apartment in Star Trek, I think 2 and 3, Kirk has a wall of guns.
Yeah, but they're like
Yeah.
old guns,
Yeah, they're like
not
antique
like
guns.
super brand new OP guns.
No, I know, but I imagine this guy might have a mix,
Fine, but still. And also, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure Kirk had it. I'm sure it's fine as a great,
That guy definitely has the rack in the back of his Dodge Ramabout.
Ramabout. Oh my god, yes. Oh my god, what other good names would there be for fucking branded roundabouts? Now I want to think about it.
I mean, I think Jake found probably the only one, to be honest.
That
I don't
thing got
know.
a hammy.
There could be like a Dodge Carabout. Caravanabout.
Yikes.
Shut up.
The Carabout.
Shut up, I want it really bad.
Carabout sounds like the official vehicle of the Care Bears.
It does.
It does, doesn't it?
Get into the Carabout, someone is sad!
Actually, a lot of aren't a lot of cars named after rivers or some shit too?
Oh.
That's true.
Depends on the river.
Is Durango a river?
Or
Probably.
or wait, what's the Sierra? Is that a river or is that a desert?
I don't know.
Sierra Nevada.
Oh yeah, it's a mountain range.
Oh, there you go. Well, fine, never mind. I take it all
there
back.
are lots of cars named after geographical features.
Mm-hmm.
All right, where's the fucking Ford Archipelago? That's what I want to know. The Dodge Panama Canal.
What?
Archipelago? How do you say
That
it?
is so not how you say that.
How do you say it?
Archipelago.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard it out loud.
Really?
That's
I think
fair.
I've only ever seen it written.
See,
It
this is
does
what you
look
get.
stupid written.
This
Say
is
it
what
one
you-
more time. It sounds stupid said. What do you, I mean, it doesn't.
Archipelago.
Archipelago?
See, this
Seriously?
This is what you get for never watching Rudolph's Shiny New Year.
This is what I get?
Yeah,
I think we get a lot of our time back.
true.
Well, it is about Father Time and Baby New Year or some bullshit, isn't it?
Yes.
So,
It's terrible.
I want to know how this fucking Vulcan had all this technology and still missed Ezri. That's what I want to know.
Well, I think the idea is it's like a Han shot first sort of situation.
Yeah.
But, we're she shot and it hit him just at the right time so that when he shot, he missed. But then again, theoretically, he was...
It was a teleporter. It doesn't
It was
even
a
matter where
teleporter,
he's
so,
aiming,
yeah.
does it?
That's true.
I'm just saying, what the fuck?
There is no reason why he had to be pointing the gun at Ezri if he could just beam the bullet in
Maybe
front of her.
maybe he thought, maybe because she was also being Duran at the time, he shot Duran. And it doesn't matter because he's not a person.
All right, I accept that. I accept that theory. Why not?
I think when Ezri was looking around trying to find him, she should have seen, like, Quark with not the gun, but just one of the little see-through walls headsets leering somewhere.
Creep.
Then she shoots near his head, so he goes like, what?
Oh yeah, when she's walking down the hallways, about to have like another encounter with fucking Duran or whatever, she's like, Quark, is that you? And it's like, yes, but I'm just creeping on you, it's fine.
Yeah, and she has that weird scene with Worf.
Just really hated this episode.
Where he's like, clearly she thinks like maybe she's talking about asking him to help, and it's like, oh, sweetie, it's not you. Not at all. I want to be like, I am not following you because you are Dax, you see. It is because you are tiny and Canadian.
Also, I've already put Bashir and O'Brien to bed. It is now your turn. And Wesley. I've tucked in Wesley.
Speaking of Bashir and O'Brien.
Smiley. I'm sorry, Curly. The teaser heavily implied that they do fucking in the holodeck.
Oh, they totally do.
Like I know we say it as a joke, but this whole thing is like, oh, you know, hey, this guy wants to join us for the holodeck trip. No, can't do that. No, it's real private, okay? It's like, you can't come. We can come, if you know what we mean, but you can't.
Miles is very particular about who sees him in his coonskin cap and not else.
Draw me like one of your French girls, Julian, wearing this. Wearing only this.
Only this coonskin.
That's right. Oh, God. All right, do we know any artists? I need an O'Brien with like a coonskin around his dongle and nothing else.
Wow. No.
I don't think I'm wrong.
I kind of want the guy that draws Chief O'Brien at work to do it.
Oh my God, let's reach out.
No,
reach out.
You guys go ahead.
But
I'm gonna hide over here.
But
pretend
what
you
kind
don't know
assholes are like, you know, like, oh, you know, you're such a great guy. You know, you saved the Defiant. You did this great thing. We love you. You're our new best friend. Oh, can I hang out and play play your fucking stupid history game? No. That's
they could
between
also
us.
they could also be less dicks and just play a different game with the guy.
Yeah,
and
say
be
yes,
nice.
Do it once, and if you really have to, make it something really lame so he never asks again.
Yeah.
But literally, it's like, they're like, hey man, you fucking rock. Anything you want, you can have it. And he's like, wow, really? I'd love to play your games with you. And they're like, get the fuck out. Don't ever talk to me or my son again.
They they swap out Davy Crockett with like, fucking the debates over the Magna Carta. And he's just like, oh boy.
But they get to wear funny costumes.
True.
See, the other thing is, like, I felt it, like, very forced, the whole Miles having the epiphany of how the gun works when they're talking about how, let's talk about Davy Crockett for 5 minutes of this episode and really waste some time. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Well, like, also because he used to just run a transporter. You telling me that anything that's unexplainable, he doesn't just think, I bet there's a transporter involved?
Being fair, this is the first time where we have any proof that momentum can be maintained through a transporter field.
Is it?
Yeah.
Like, we've had people kind of, like, beam in at weird angles and, like, fall over. But that's about it. You know, like, they've never, say, beamed someone up while they were running and have them just kind of launch off the transporter pad when they get back. Huh. But that theoretically is apparently possible. And I'm sure it has happened and been very unpleasant.
Well, the transporter for the little bullets also could be slightly modified, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I also made a great note where I compared the whole see-through walls and kill somebody thing with Kirk's Yeoman monitor from the Mirror Universe.
Yeah.
The Yo monitor.
That's true. His little window to
spank
things. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Or disintegration.
Yeah. Also make people vanish. So does O'Brien now think that Santa Anna had a transporter attached to the end of his musket, and that's how Davy Crockett died?
Yep.
Knew it.
Totally.
My final note I'm going to say, because I don't want to talk about this episode much longer, the working title was The Killer in Dax. Now, granted, Field of Fire is also dumb, so...
Yeah, Field of Fire is like Field of Dreams. Sort of expect another baseball episode, maybe.
No.
If you kill it, they will come.
That's right. No, literally, they'll orgasm. That's what they're into.
Dax Entertainment.
Charles Entertainment Cheese?
There you go. There's the title.
Already made that joke. Anyway, cool. Anybody else have any other thoughts about this heap of garbage?
Nope.
Here's the thing, too. Chris even said this at the end of us watching it. He was like, here's the thing. It was middling. It wasn't even that bad. And I guess that the problem is that we've kind of been, like, spoiled by mostly, like, pretty okay episodes. So anything that even isn't pretty okay is just like, oh my god, it's an affront. We sat through so much worse than this in every other series before now.
I don't know. I feel like the start of this season of DS9 has been mostly disappointments.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
7 is this. Yeah, this season's definitely
Yeah,
rough.
they really the writers definitely were like trying to save their wad for the big
And,
finale.
Well, and that's fine, but like consider that. I don't know. I'm thinking of like season 3 of TOS when we met Gem. And it was just like an all black or what is it, all white space. And they were like, oh, we had to save money because we had no budget left. And it was like, yeah, but that was still a damn fine episode. You can still make a good episode without blowing all the
if you
wads.
think about it, like here's the thing. I feel like in any season, even of Deep Space Nine, there's always a good chunk of middling episodes. But usually they're kind of spaced throughout the season. And I think that just this one was front loaded with a bunch of filler bullshit.
Yeah.
Because they had this whole arc for the final half of the season that they wanted to do.
Yeah, they knew this was going to be the final season, and they're like, okay, well, we know we want it, this 10... I don't know when they determined that... I think we'll find this out pretty soon, that there's going to be a 10-season arc. Nope. 10-episode arc that's going to be, like, just culminating the whole series. So this one was literally, like, you know, as I said, they brought Robert Hewitt Wolf in and said, okay, this one has to be a standalone. You don't have to know anything else but any of the other episodes. Maybe take a look at, what episode did he use? The Darkness and the Light, the other very stupid mystery episode. Because they just can't do fucking mystery episodes in Star Trek, then they shouldn't bother.
All right, well, moving swiftly on. Well, not that swiftly, I guess, but moving on anyway. Chimera, whichever you prefer. Chimera. Chai tea. So in this one, out of a million astronomically small odds, a changeling shows up and jumps on I think the Defiant, or maybe it's just a runabout.
No,
I don't know. It's a runabout. Jumps into a runabout that O'Brien and Odo are on. Thank God that it did, because it interrupted them quibbling over gifts, because apparently Miles didn't think to bring shit for Keiko, and Odo was being a perfect husband as usual, and bringing home extra presents.
O'Brien forgot he was married to Keiko. Oh, right!
I mean, he's really
Gifts!
trying to get a gift for Julian. Is
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, that's true. That's what they were. Those are his favorite candies. And so he comes on board, and Odo's like, oh shit, you're one of those 100 ones that got thrown out into space. You're not a foundling, you're just a changeling like me, but you're not one of them, so let's hang out. And so he comes home with them to Deep Space Nine, and he's like, wow, I fucking hate solids. And Odo's like, I don't know, they're pretty cool if you fuck them. And, his new buddy, Laz. Sorry, his name is Laz, which I really don't like. But apparently it also means, like, something important, alone.
Basically just be a shapeshifter.
Shapeshifter? Sure, yeah. And Odo's like, at least it doesn't mean,
Unknown
whatever,
sample.
experiment number 1, haha. And he's like, wow, you still want to hang out with these people. But anyway, he's basically very shitty. He, is offensive to all of Odo's solid friends. He fucking fogs up the promenade with his bullshit. He,
Powerful fart. Wow.
Big one. Yep. I don't want to say, he instigates a fight, because he didn't really. He was just shape-shifting around, and a bunch of Klingons? Wow. A bunch of Klingons were like, hey, shapeshifter, if you do that shit in front of me again, I'm gonna fuck you up. And he was like, suck my dick, you smell. And they start fighting, and Laz winds up killing a Klingon, which was wild, because it looked like he barely touched him, really.
But you admit he touched him.
And he definitely did touch him.
This is going to be big in Klingon court.
Yep, and again, that's exactly where we're headed, because the Klingons, who usually just really are all about ripping ripping limb from limb and killing and shit and revenge, they're like, nope, let's get some adjudication on this bitch. And Odo's like, well, they're only doing that because they're a bunch of racist pieces of shit. And Laz is like, see, what did I fucking tell you? Oh, by the way, Kira. He can't call her Nerys. Hey, Kira, Odo and we linked, and it was really hot, and I don't know if you know this, but he's, like, really actually miserable here with you. Like, he maybe says he isn't, but...
He doesn't say that to her directly.
Who doesn't?
Loss.
He kind of does. No, I guess Odo kind of says it to her. Odo's kind of like, yeah, he thinks I'm, like, not happy here. And I guess I would kind of like to go with him, but, like, I'm staying here because I love you, so that's fine. And Kira's like, oh, noes, and goes to set Laz free and is like, go find this rock. I'll send Odo. You boys can hang out and try to find the other 100. Which I like the 100, because it sounds like the 300, which, of course, is like that Gerard Butler film. It sounds like the 1,000, which are the 1,000 enemies of rabbits in Watership Down. I like a number with the word the 100. Sounds really cool.
Well, there's a series called The 100, which can be decent. There are some plot lines that are like, what the fuck is this? Because it's also for teenagers, but it's mostly decent.
Are they Star Trek, or are they something else?
What would you call the 100, Jake? It's not Star Trek.
No, it's sci-fi, but it's like teen drama.
Teen post-apocalyptic.
Wasn't it a CW show?
Yeah, it's CW.
Oh, cool. So it's good shit. Sounds all right. I would check
and you
it
know
out.
exactly what all the characters look like, because they only allow 3 different male and female faces.
Are we sure it's not just Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles?
It's people who look a lot like them.
Cool. Well, that's fine. They're hot. The leads of Supernatural.
Sure.
Yeah, they're hot. They're hot, and they played Supernatural for like 16 years or some fucking insanity. So
one of them's hot.
They're
How
both
far
hot.
into the synopsis are we now? I think we got sidetracked.
Yeah, sorry, we were almost done.
Yeah, you're right. So Odo goes to meet Laz and is like, listen, I'm here, but I'm not coming with you because I have a life, and I know you think that, I couldn't possibly be happy, but you're just gonna have to take my word for it. I'm pretty happy. So, goodbye. And he goes back, and he and Nerys, like, have some cuddles, and Odo makes himself into a light show for her, and that, I guess, means now she understands what it's like to really be with Odo. The end.
And she orgasms all over the place.
Mm.
Yeah, there was definitely some of that happening, yeah, I would say.
So this episode confused the ever-living fuck out of me.
Oh, really?
Because I don't know what its stance on racial politics is.
Maybe that it's complicated.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you got a bunch...
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention all the racism in this.
So much racism.
Didn't I?
All
also,
over the
like,
place, because Miles is here
so
too,
much.
being a racist.
I mean, everyone kind of is this episode.
Well, you see, here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
I know, so obviously there's a huge racism angle, but I kind of was seeing it more as an LGBT allegory. Or at least,
do tell.
I don't know. It's just like some of the conversations that they were having, about how, oh, you're not like them, you're just trying to be like them, Odo, but and they know that you're different.
Well, he's pretty hetero.
Well, that's why I said an allegory, not literally. It's not literally about, Odo being gay or something, but that, it's the type of sort of hiding something, or trying to conceal a part of yourself, or suppress a part of yourself. Yeah.
It's the old X-Men. Have you tried not being a mutant?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. Exactly.
Well, see, I guess what it is, I think, in a way, is, Jake, is we're both seeing the same thing, and because I think the conversations sparked these thoughts in us, right?
Yes.
Because even because you even find that, when you talk to people who, like, you talk about, say, for say the racial angle, like, not being too ethnic or whatever to keep white people comfortable. Just like you maybe don't want to be quote unquote too gay to keep straight people comfortable. So it could easily, like, I mean, because again, X-Men has been used for both as well. So I think you could see it as all of it, really.
Yeah, I think so. But I also think that the fact that everybody is anti-changeling
Yeah.
in this episode. Like everybody that's not a changeling is
Yeah, except
anti-changeling.
maybe Kira.
But even she, she's pro Odo.
Mm-hmm.
And
Proto, if you will.
And
Well,
like
she
everybody
says, like,
else,
I want to meet your friend. Like, let's meet him as an individual. I give her a little credit for that.
But she doesn't understand the changeling shit, and she doesn't stand up when O'Brien's like, "Oh yeah, but you're one of the good ones."
Ugh.
It's like
I definitely found it super uncomfortable that even like Cisco, it's like, what the fuck, Benny Russell? Like, let's show some compassion here.
Well, yeah, there's a great scene where it was like Worf and Cisco and Odo. When
After the Klingon died, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And like, it was basically Odo trying to be like, yeah, well, if this were anybody other than a changeling, you wouldn't, extradite him to the Klingons.
And we've seen Klingon courts before. Granted, this was a while ago, but they're which is more corrupt, Klingon court or Cardassian court? Because they're pretty
Cardassian
close.
court.
No. I would say Klingon court because the Cardassians basically admit they're corrupt.
That's true.
The Klingons like pretend they're not. What was interesting too I found about that scene was that by the end of it, like Worf wasn't saying anything, and even he looked a little like, he's kind of got a point.
Yeah.
But again, didn't say anything, which is
that's
key.
Because when you don't have anything honorable to say, don't say anything at all. Obviously.
Well, the honorable thing would be to be like, you might have a point, Captain.
I find it interesting how we're told how upset General Martok is, but we never see General Martok. Where was General Martok this episode? I kept expecting to see General Martok, and I never saw General Martok in this whole episode.
I don't think they get the joke, Jake.
Do you not get the joke?
Was he the other changeling?
Did he die?
He was Laz. The actor playing Laz was
I missed that in the credits.
That's because in the credits, they don't credit him as J.G. Hertzler. They credit him as Garmin Hertzler because J.G. wanted to keep his characters distinct because everyone knows Martok so well.
Right.
He didn't want to like sully Martok by saying like, I'm more than, I can... You can see He didn't want people to see Martok in Lost, is basically what it boiled down to.
I mean, I definitely fucking didn't.
Not a bit of it.
See,
holy shit.
I feel like you can sort of see... Oh, well,
funny.
From the voice, though, I think.
I probably wouldn't have been
Wow.
able to if I hadn't read about it first.
Wow, that well done him.
Yeah, the makeup was different enough, but yeah, I got it pretty quickly from the voice, and then except the one thing that, like, he must have been deliberately trying to like conceal the voice or do something different with the voice because like he was doing this kind of like pregnant pause thing, Odo, where like he would like I don't know, it was really strange.
Wow, it's amazing that you picked up on that because he specifically tried to channel Shatner.
That's hilarious.
Isn't that great? That's fucking perfect, and it's great that it showed because you picked up on it right away.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was just like it was like Shatner, but like Shatner on lewds because he wasn't like, it was like Shatner, but like very like the Zen version of Shatner.
Yeah, without the weird peaks he could occasionally hit.
Right.
It's just the more mellow parts.
Yeah, I do find it a little strange that the rationality for why they went with Hertzler for this role, and the answer was really we needed someone who could match Rene Auberjonois in this episode because Rene is just so good. And we wanted this character to be able to hold his own against that. So they really only wanted someone with whom they kind of already were comfortable and knew what to expect from. Which I think does get to be kind of a shame because then it means you're seeing the same actors a lot.
Yeah.
Versus,
but on the other hand,
bringing in other good actors.
It's almost like Hollywood runs on nepotism.
True.
It's fucking wild. What's that like?
But even so, like I said, like in this case, though, fuck, it paid off because I had no idea.
There was a hot second they were considering Jeffrey Combs. Which
was literally just
that would have been
I was just gonna say
bad.
I feel like with Jeffrey Combs, when you see Brunt or you see Wei-Yun, you can sort of see that they're like the same person. But I didn't feel like that at all with this guy.
Oh, you know who they should have done though? Oh, who would have been great?
Aaron Eisenberg.
Tony Todd. They should have got Tony Todd.
Oh, I do
Who's
love
Tony Todd again?
Kern
Yeah.
and
old
Jake
man Jake.
Sisko.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
They also considered Andrew Robinson, which made me laugh. And they said, no, that won't work because they will recognize the voice
Yeah, no,
immediately.
It's
He has a
so
very
distinctive.
distinct voice,
Yeah.
He'd have to have like literally put on an accent or something.
They dub him
and
or
it
something.
still wouldn't have worked.
Oh, God, no, not dubbing him. They have Julian do an old man voice for him. Just fill that in over there. That'll be perfect. Or he can do that Dracula voice he was doing that time. No one will suspect a thing. It was Garrett Gone.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I actually really like this show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it's a cool episode.
Yeah.
It's the fact that it's so like discomforting and complicated that I really liked it. But I don't know what it's a little unclear what the ultimate thesis statement is, because it's like, because you've got everyone telling Odo like, yeah, I mean, you know how to like make us feel good around you, and it's like, ugh, that's gross.
Yeah.
But Odo seems to be kind of okay with that, where this guy's like, just fucking be yourself, man. Did you know we can be gas?
Check it
fire.
out. We can be fire. Fuck.
And mist and
you can
whatever else.
you can just be noise, Odo. You can just be sound.
Yeah.
Hey, would it help, Chris?
What is that growling on the promenade?
No, would it help, Chris, if I told you the original treatment of how they were going to treat the whole racism angle? Okay, the original story was Odo determines somehow that all humanoids are racist. Not wrong! And he does decide to go away with loss or an equivalent of loss.
Okay.
Because of all the racism that he experiences. Until Sisko basically takes him aside, talks him down, and says, yeah, all humanoids are racist. It's kind of part of being a person is to be a fucking dick and to, I don't know, I feel like to say something to the effect that it is natural for humans to prefer humanoids who look like them. And for Odo to not agree with that, but to understand that this is a truth. And then Odo would decide to stay.
I feel like
I don't like
who
that.
was going to make that point?
Cisco.
That would be. I can't imagine Avery would have liked doing
No.
that.
Like they basically gave that speech to Quark.
They
And with Quark, you're like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Well,
It's
because
Quark.
this guy thinks that he can write having his sexual way with his employees into their contracts. So yeah, he would totally be like, "Yeah, we're racist."
Well, I mean, he's going to say the quiet part out loud for sure.
Like, I feel like with
Yeah.
Cisco, it would have to have been, yeah, this is something that unfortunately is kind of built into us, and overcoming it is what makes us better.
Yeah,
or
you
whatever.
want to read all these articles on implicit bias? Because I've read so many.
yeah, I'd be shocked if Starfleet doesn't have like implicit bias training as like a major
Except against
element.
the Ferengi.
Yeah, no, that as you said before, they're the race it's okay to be racist against,
and
anyone we're at war with, and who?
I said and changelings.
Oh, yes, I mean, yeah.
Well, so here's the thing, right? I think it's less about, I don't know. I don't know if it's as much that the reason how to put this. I think it's less about the racistness, but it's more about the fact that they see the solids see changelings as something just completely alien.
Well, they're also not to be trusted, in air quotes, because they can be other shapes, which makes you think, oh, you're not being your true self.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, kind of where the rationality, also where the founders,
and, like,
that's gonna kind of bleed in.
Where I kind of got, where like some of the bits of this that made me think it might have been intended to be like an LGBT allegory was after the fog scene.
Yeah.
And when Quark comes in and gives that little speech, and he's like, it was basically the, oh, you can be a changeling, but just don't flaunt it. Just don't,
do it in public.
Yeah,
don't
just
shove
do it
it
in
down
public.
people's throats.
Yeah.
Well, was it him or someone else who literally said now wasn't the time for a changeling pride display on
I think
the
that was Quark. I think that's what he said in that speech. So that's why I was like, oh, yeah, that's making more sense what they're going for.
And plus, actually, because they do have that linking scene, and it is sort of something that's deeply personal and something that's like very emotional and very like binding and very intimate.
Yeah, I actually wondered because like obviously we've had scenes where he's gone into the Great Link, but the only time we've seen him link with an individual was the female changeling, and I kind of wondered, did anyone at the network throw up a stink? Because in their scenes, it was definitely like, it's like, no, it's not sex, but by the way the show treated it was kind of like sex.
It was sex, yeah.
It's shown as being very intimate. It's
yeah,
not
so I wondered,
outright
Ames,
sexual.
did you read anything? Like, did anyone at the network be like, two men can't link?
No,
Well,
no, I didn't. I also don't think the network would think of linking as sexual because
They're
it's not.
prudes.
It's not implicit that way.
I don't know. Odo didn't seem to want to do it on the promenade.
Yeah. Well, like, again, like, you know, that's another example of like, you know, oh, you want to shove it in people's faces that we're different from them? No, you know, I got my beard, Kira over here. You know, we have to look like the norms.
And that's, I guess, what sort of is what had me like confused about what their main goal was, because like obviously pretty much everyone's being awful about changelings, and this guy, what's fascinating about Loss is like he's existed on his own, and
For
rather
hundreds of
like
years.
the original changeling, like the original changelings were like solids suck, we need to conquer them so they stop fucking with us. He, left to his own devices, is solids suck, I'm going to avoid them because they're assholes. So like they arrive at a similar point, but then a different solution. And so you can definitely see Loss as sort of like the sort of activist who's like, no, just be yourself, be out there, be you, be proud of who and what you are. But Odo, even by the end, is sort of still like, you know, you feel like in public, he's still just gonna be Odo. Like he'll show Kira the light show. But it's like, I don't know. It's like, it would have been nice to see maybe a way Loss had got through a little more like,
Show Quark the light show. Show Quark the light show.
yeah, or
Quark will try to
something.
sell tickets to it. He'll make a scheme to be like,
True.
come see Aurora Borealis contained entirely within my kitchen at this time of year in this part of the station.
Can I see it?
Make
3 strips of latinum.
Damn.
yeah, make that meme, Jake. I want to see that as a
I don't
meme.
make that on a superintendent's salary. You're crazy.
Yeah, but what's really fascinating about Loss, as someone who doesn't know about the founders, doesn't know
Yeah.
any other, he doesn't even call them shapeshifters, changelings at first. He calls them like
Metamorphs, I think?
metamorphs, yeah, something like that. He doesn't know any of his own background, which is kind of how we met Odo at the beginning of the series.
Yeah.
Is that he brings to this character a combination of both naivete and wisdom at the same time, because he's had such different experiences than Odo has. Like
Yeah.
he talks about how, I had a mate, but we weren't able to have offspring, and that made it complicated, so I decided to go be a tree for several years. I wondered a little bit if his mate was one of those gazelle-like creatures he was talking about, but
No, because
maybe
he
that
said
was just me.
they talked about it, so I think she was
rats.
Well, yeah, in the language of the
yak
forest
people?
space
Maybe.
gazelle.
That would be kind of amusing. Because, yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, he's lived a while as some sort of cow gazelle thing. And I mean, he probably did spend some time as a tree once. And I kind of wonder, like, is he actually, ability-wise, more skilled even than the founder changelings? Because, like, none of them have ever mentioned, like, P.S., we could be gas and fire and this and that. Like, I kind of wonder if they have gotten sort of complacent enough that even
yeah.
they've sort of forgotten the full extent of their abilities.
Well, I wonder, like, if he is sort of the embodiment of the reason they sent out the 100, you know, because, like, he's had experiences that they would never have had in the link.
Yeah.
And
And
also,
if
we
he
know not to
ever
trust those people.
Yeah, and if he ever returns to the link, you know, he'll be able to be like, hey, fire, eh? That's cool.
Let me show
But-
you this cow gazelle thing.
I also loved his sort of his space whale
Thing,
outfit
yeah.
that he was wearing at the beginning. You know, that was cool.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
a
like
fun
that
creature.
You can also get the sense that, you know, he mentions how he's been self-aware for much longer than Odo has.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
can
what is
just
this
kind of
timeline?
well, you can imagine that, like, if he's just swimming around in space,
Yeah.
like, time must not mean much to him, or like he can just like, because it would take fucking ever to get anywhere in space as a goddamn space whale.
Yeah. Yep. And again, he said he sensed Odo. Like,
Via
Yeah.
space whale echolocation.
that's a new thing. Like, you kind of wonder. Like, he said, yeah, faces are hard. It's like, I think it's just because you don't care. I think if you wanted, you totally could without even.
I mean,
you
he
can be
fucking
gas.
fire. Yeah, fire and gas. Fire and gas are more complex than a face.
Yeah. No, I think you can't do faces because you don't want to, which is fair. It's fine. I don't blame you. Like, do we even fully understand the physics of fire yet? I feel like that's one of those things that there's aspects to fire even we still don't fully understand, and he can just turn into it.
I don't understand fire. I bet.
I was going to say, I don't
bet
understand anything about
I
fire.
bet you
so
somebody
yeah.
understands fire, but I don't.
I feel like I remember reading somewhere once that like there's still certain aspects of it that physicists still haven't quite come to grips with. I mean, we know enough about it that we know how to put it out as long as we know the propellant and the material and things like that. But I think there are some aspects of fire that we're still a little kind of like, eh?
To quote The Little Mermaid, what's a fire? And why does it, what's that word? Burn. Speaking of not having children, is this the first time it's ever explicitly been said that Odo couldn't shoot somebody up with baby juice?
I think so, but I always would have assumed he couldn't.
Yeah, because he is not a life form. He is not a biological life form.
He can make everything else. Why couldn't he make a little piece of himself,
Because-
literal tiny little sperm?
Because
thing?
they can't-
Because once it
connect.
separates, it turns
Yeah,
back into
goo.
They have to be connected.
Fine. Second question that Chris brought up, which is, we're pretty sure Kira would probably be all right with adopting, right?
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
she would.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No-
Bajor's lousy with orphans.
Yeah,
She'd probably
seeing
adopt
what-
a half
what she-
Cardassian baby. She'd probably adopt the baby. She probably has already adopted the baby from Ducat's death cult.
God.
Yeah,
Christ.
because those people cannot be trusted with it.
No,
No.
also, like, I have a feeling that that dude is probably not gonna want to stick around.
No.
Yikes.
No. And I don't think he could, even if he had, like, I don't think.
Oh, the one that got cucked by
By
Ducat, you
Ducat,
mean?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant Loss.
Oh yeah, no. Well, he's not sticking around. We know that.
Yeah.
He's gonna go space whale someplace.
I think also part of him just can't deal with the fact that, like, yeah, humanoids get old and die.
Yeah, well, he mentioned that too. Like when Odo was like, "Oh yeah, I love Kira and she loves me," and he's like, "Yeah, well then get used to the idea of watching her grow old and die because you won't."
Yeah, Data had the same discussion, I want to say, in Time Zero. The whole watching my friends die will be sad. Oh, wait, I'm going to die one day? Interesting.
Wait, I'm gonna die first of all of my friends? That's awesome.
No, second. Tasha came first.
That's true. That's true.
But
Well,
she'd already
not the
died by
only
then.
time that Tasha came first.
Ah.
No, let's talk about, because I think another thing of this episode that I think is depicted very beautifully is the Kira-Odo relationship and how adult they are and how mutual their love is. It's very, very beautiful in how they want, like, they both want to give each other pleasure. And my God, I read a note in my book that says Renee Echeverria, who is writing this episode, basically had individual chats with Renee Aubergenois and Nana Visitor to be like, so what do you think Odo and Kira's sex life is about? Oh, we can't put any of that on TV.
Do we have notes?
Tentacles.
No, I don't have
Lots
notes.
of tentacles.
Damn it! I want to know what they said.
Basically, they decided, we're gonna boil it down to, it's unfortunate that Kira can't link, which is also interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, but like butt stuff, tentacles. Does he make his dick really huge? Like, come on, give us something. Whips and
It wasn't in my
chains.
book.
Ugh.
Basically, all they said was, this is a show that children can watch.
Well, someone better get to Nana quick because we lost Renee, and if we don't hear from Nana, this is important information that the fandom will never have, and I think it's relevant.
I think the fandom has already come up with even freakier shit than
Oh,
they
they've
did.
come up.
I don't
alright.
know.
Yeah. I mean, I already joked at the end of the episode. Now you get your school uniform. I'll turn into a squid. And
Do you think when
He did make that joke, yes.
do you think when changelings become gas or fire or northern lights, can they be like inhaled or like?
Well, the thing is, they have to still be connected, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, if
Well, I'm
you
wondering,
were
like,
inhaled and then the person closed their mouth, that would turn to goo inside of them, right?
Oh, gross. I don't want to die like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds
then
like
you're just coughing
drowning.
Up, yeah, you're
Drowning
then
in
coughing up
changeling. Ugh.
well, that's the thing. And like, we know, of course, that they're like, how much of themselves could a changeling lose before they croak?
49.
How much of them is shunted into subspace?
I'm going to say 49%.
Sure.
Oh my god,
Whatever
do all
you
changelings
need of the liver to reproduce it, that's how much changeling you need.
do all changelings just tap into the same pile of subspace goo?
Ooh.
Yeah. Think
Fascinating.
about that.
Yeah, I did like the Aurora Borealis look an awful lot. The quote I have from Rene Aubergenois, who was watching the scene, not as Aurora Borealis, because he is an actor with a human body, but from off to the side, and the quote to Nana is, "God, you made me look like such a great lover."
Yeah.
Aww. I love Rene Aubergenois.
Those two really do sell a relationship that neither of them had any interest in the show pursuing, which is credit to
I gotta
them.
hand it to him because it's grown on me in ways that I did not expect it to. Just because,
Tentacles and all.
yeah, it just seemed very forced because they're very different characters and it don't seem like they would work in a romantic way.
Well, and they were also just super, super good, tight friends, too. It seems like years after. I mean, during the time, but also like years after. They were always really close, so I'm sure that helps.
Yeah.
You mean the actors were good friends, or the characters were good friends?
No, the actors.
Okay.
The actors themselves were like super good friends. Like when Renee passed away, Nana wrote this like beautiful article about how much how close they were and how much she learned from him and how he like inspired her to like give more as an actress. And it was just
so sweet.
really, really beautiful tribute that I'd highly recommend you read if you haven't.
It's really such a weird contrast if you look at like the post-show careers of the DS9 and TNG actors versus the TOS ones.
Yeah.
Like some of the TOS ones got along, but oh boy.
James Doohan hated fucking all of you. And Pavel wasn't far behind.
Yeah, they also weren't like they were good on set, but I don't think they were like close at all off the set.
I think it's it seems like it was a different type of work ethic.
Yeah, that's the other
60s.
thing.
Like I think in the 60s, you were an actor, you showed up, you read your lines, and that was it.
Especially on television.
Yeah. And that's how they looked at it. And, this was a paycheck. But I think that, the TNG cast, we saw in the documentary we watched that like they were just goofing around a lot of the time. They were having a lot of fun, and it to the point where it was like pissing off the serious actor in the room.
Yeah, I love seeing photos of them just hanging out at each other's houses making food. Like having dinner together. Like you've got Dorn in the background frying an egg. You've got Frakes over here making drinks.
Well, and even it's so funny because there's another one. It's like it's Dorn, Spiner, and
Geordie LaForge.
Archer, whose real name escapes me.
Scott Bakula.
And like Spiner guests on Enterprise a couple times, but Dorn never did. So they're just.
Did he direct it all?
Oh, mate, that could be it. Yeah, so it's this weird, like, cross-show, like, just chill out. But yeah, no, you're right, though. It's probably part of it. And especially with the TNG cast, I imagine if the early days were kind of madness, in the production side, the actors probably really got tighter because of that. Just, like, sitting around like, oh, God, what do you fucking think they're doing today?
But anyway.
Well, plus, TNG and Onward, though, got to be part of something that was already extant.
Yeah, and they're also much longer lasting shows.
Also true, yeah. Well, fuck, I mean, it's really funny, actually, because I feel like Cole Meany is the one person that I don't know if he was, like, good buddies with any of them, and he was on both shows, which means he might very well be, like, the longest-running Star Trek character.
It's either him or Dorn.
I think it's Dorn, because Miles isn't in most of TNG.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
fair enough.
even when he was on TNG, he was not in every episode. He
No.
was
No,
kind
that's
of a-
true. Good point. Well, anyway, I stand by what I've said, though. I'm surprised that I just don't feel like I see him a lot with.
Well, he also, like, he bounced back and forth a lot. He was, taking time off to do movies in Europe.
It's fair. So you're saying he got too big for it, and he was like, fuck y'all.
Well, I could see that making it harder to sort of make those connections.
I'm just kidding. I'm sure Cole Meany doesn't.
It's interesting, though, because I feel like Cole Meany, I feel like there is I don't know, there's like a curse of Star Trek where actors that have been in the main cast of Star Trek tend not to have that big of a career outside of Star Trek. And I feel like Cole Meany has had a pretty substantial career outside of Star Trek after Star Trek.
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps that what it is like a lot of them are projects that they make it over, like they're films and TV shows that make it over here, but are initially like BBC or British or Irish productions.
Terry
Where, like-
Farrell was on Becker. Come on.
That's true.
That too.
Terry Farrell's and Becker. I mean, obviously Patrick Stewart's done a lot of work, but
Yeah. But no, you're right. He definitely is one of the sort of exceptions. But yeah, I think it helps that he's more internationally known already, like even before Star Trek.
Also,
And
I feel like if you look at the listings on like IMDb of literally any of the actors, they still do a lot. They do a lot of voice acting.
Yeah.
Like it's not like they're like not finding work.
No,
Yeah, no.
I'm not saying that. I just think that they tend not to have like A-list careers, with probably the exception, I guess, of Stewart.
Bakula.
Like Scott Bakula was already a famous actor. Like
Yeah.
I remember he was one of the few actors where you heard about, and it's like, oh shit, they landed Bakula. Wow, good for them.
Well, actually, and he's now on one of those endless fucking cop shows.
Oh, is
So
he?
he's-
That's funny.
I think he's on NCIS New Orleans or something.
Oops.
So yeah, no, he's still actually keeping pretty busy too, just on a show none of us watch.
I guess Avery Brooks was pretty famous before.
Yeah.
Because he was
Wasn't
on
he in-
Spencer for Hire.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. I almost just said, wasn't he in TJ Hooker? But nope, that's Kirk.
Shatner.
Not quite.
But yeah, so we've gotten a bit off course. Anything else about this?
Yeah, I just want to close out on that really lovely line between Odo and Kira about how loving is cool.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps the fact that it is not easy is what makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, it's a good line.
And I made a big heart in my notes.
Aww. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
actually
I-
really liked the show.
Yeah, no, I think it's very thought provoking.
Yeah, and that's what good sci-fi is. See, this episode is good sci-fi because it makes you kind of like internalize the messages. It makes you think what am I supposed to be getting from this episode? What is it trying to say? Because it is saying a lot of things. It's
Yeah.
also setting up some stuff that we're going to see in future episodes that I'm not going to spoil. But I think that was the main reason this exists.
Yeah.
Whereas in Field of Fire, it makes you think a lot of, huh?
Shouldn't I just be
What's
watching
going
Silence of the
Yeah, I was
Lambs?
gonna say, it makes you think a lot of certain Academy Award-winning actors in a certain Academy Award-winning film.
it puts the
In the early
frown on,
90s.
or else it gets the gun again.
No laughing, or the Vulcans will get you.
Well, just no laughing in photos.
Yeah, you can laugh in general. You just can't take a picture of it.
This Vulcan is like a 5-year-old. If something freezes, it lasts forever.
No object permanence, then.
You know, when fucking Ezri is like, oh my god, they all have pictures of smiling people. I'm like, everybody
other
has
kind of
pictures of
pictures-
smiling people.
Yeah.
Nobody
What other
puts
kind
a
of picture
picture
is
of,
there?
if there's a picture of a person, they're probably smiling.
Yeah, no, once photographs took less than 30 minutes to expose, smiling in them became the norm.
Nope, not in this house. Nothing but pictures of people crying. And by people, I mean my little cousins.
Oh my god, I found a link between the deaths. That all of the people breathed, ate, had hearts to get shot in, wore pants.
And owned cameras.
They all lived on Deep Space Nine.
My God.
Dun,
Interesting.
Dun, dun.
They were all carbon-based.
Oh, we don't know that. Well, I guess they were, but still.
As far as I know, booleans are carbon-based.
Well, listen, speaking of being carbon-based, if you're carbon-based and you like what you heard...
Wow.
What?
Good segue.
No, it was terrible, but thank you.
Where is she going with this
If I
one?
was a changeling, I would become an episode of this fucking podcast, because that would be awesome. And if you feel the same way, you can check us out. Every week we bring you new episodes of A Star to Steer Her By. Getting close to the end of Deep Space Nine, which makes me really sad. If you like this podcast and you want to hear more, you can find us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify. We're also on Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. If you feel like it, you can give us a rating. I think that'll help other people find us, but 5 stars is preferred. If you want to interact with us in ways that are not podcast specific related, meaning, nope, let me try again. Fuck, I'm really blowing it. It's hot. If you're looking for a way to check out Star to Steer Her By when we're not releasing a new episode, you can visit our Facebook by searching for A Star to Steer Her By. We are SSHB Podcast on Twitter and Tumblr, or you can visit sshbpodcast.com, our home on the web. You can check out articles and fan fictions and tops and bottom threes of seasons and series. Oh my.
Oh my. Oh my.
Oh my. Join us next week. We will discuss 2 more episodes. Bada bing, bada bang. And Inter arma inem silent legis. Or some bullshit that
You
sounds
went Russian with that. Interesting.
Latin or something. Inter arma inem silent legis. I don't know how the fuck you say that.
No one does.
How do you say it,
Latin
Ames? Do you have a
died
better
centuries
idea?
God,
ago.
I don't fucking know. I think whatever you said is fine.
Anyone
At
who
first I
claims-
was looking at it and thought maybe it was backwards. I was like, sigil, mine, animals. I don't, but it's clearly not.
Anyone who claims to know what Latin sounds like is fucking lying. They're basing it off of what medieval monks thought it might have sounded like. And what the hell did they know? They didn't know how to cut their hair nicely.
What? You talking about
Those
Vulcans?
stupid little tonsure things. Anyway.
P.A. Yezu.
We're almost out and I can turn the air conditioner back on.
As always, this has been Caitlin.
Jake.
This has been Chris.
And this is always Ames.
Stay cool, cats and kittens, and join us next week. All right. Bada bing,
Ew.
bada bang.
Ah.
That made more sense for next week.
Whatever.